part of the conversation. Must-see TV this spring. I know we haven't talked much about spring football, but we will definitely begin that conversation in more earnest today. Remember that this is a day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone. Be the difference you want to see in the world. All right. How you doing this morning, Joe?
Hey, Martin, I'm doing good. This is Michaela. Joe's working on the phone line for us.
I was going to say, that is definitely not Joe. Michaela,
I'm taking up for Joe, so hopefully we can get our callers on.
Oh, my God. I thought I was in like a commercial. I don't know if you've ever seen it's the gummy bear commercial. I forget which one it is, where all the adults sitting around talking like little kids, because your voice, I was expecting this male Joe Gaither voice, but good morning. All right, we're back. We live in a jest here, almost an audible there, but we'll keep things going. Alabama football is back out on the practice field, and that kind of been kind of a quiet spring, even though there's a lot going on. This is, to me, Nick Saban's most important spring in quite a while. I love looking at making comparisons from other coaches, other programs. 2019 saw LSU with a very, very historic season. And at that point, people thought the most prolific offense to ever play. Alabama comes back the next year and does almost the exact same thing from an offensive standpoint in a COVID-laden season, losing numerous players. Anywhere, Alabama could have anywhere from 4 to 6 first rounders potentially. I mean, who knows? I guess they could have even more, but expecting probably at least 4 guys to go in the first round. And is this finally the season that Alabama has to rebuild, or will they reload again? I mean, the difference in rebuilding is you have seasons like LSU had last year, where you do not, represent or defend your national title very well, or will this be a season that Alabama actually will be able to, will be able to continue to do what they do? I want to remind you, we do have phone lines, 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. The Taco Casa hotline is open for business. You can also add your comments on chat. But when you look at Alabama football, one of the questions of the day, is this a reload year or a rebuild year? Last year, as I said, LSU really, really struggled to rebound after winning a national title. Will Alabama find themselves in similar fate? Evan Neal had this to say: losing guys like Mac Jones and Devontae Smith and different leaders like that definitely take a toll. But this is Alabama. We keep reloading. Neil said talent is always coming up. Springtime is a time to develop that talent and for that talent to get better. I'm confident in this group of guys we have now, and I'm just excited to continue to work. Alabama lost a tremendous amount of, I'm sorry. Somebody responded, Joe. Let me finish. Alabama lost a tremendous amount of talent, but they will reload. Or Joe, will they rebound? And Joe, Curtis Lewis said that when Michaela answered, he said, I thought Joe got kicked in the regional area. So, hey, Joe. How you doing this morning, man?
Oh, I'm doing good. Just trying to shake and bake over in the studio. Michaela, it's so surprising now with her football knowledge, but a little bit different voices there.
Oh man, that was what's was it? Care? No, it's not Care Bear. Do you know which commercial I'm talking about? The business professionals are sitting around talking, and they have the little gummy bears and they're squeezing them, and they have like the little kids' voices, and so it just kind of throws you off because you see the adult.
It's the Haribo gummy bear commercial.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I can't remember the name of the company, but that's what I felt like I was in for just a moment. But we have a lot we today. Joe will have DC Capstone report here in the second quarter. But uh, Evan Neal talking about at Alabama, we do not. This is Alabama. He didn't say we don't rebuild. He said, this is Alabama. We keep reloading. At this point, with the expectations, you say, yes, this is a reload year. But is this Nick Saban's biggest challenge in a while from a coaching standpoint? Because I know last year we had to replace a lot of starters. We had a lot of DBs coming back, but that was about it. And had to replace 7, 8 starters based on how you count the numbers. This year it's on the offensive side of the ball. Even though it's the same number, is this a much bigger challenge when it comes to offense?
Let's see. So we're replacing a quarterback, which we did last year. We're replacing a left tackle, a center, a guard. You're replacing you're replacing two receivers and a running back. I think you might be replacing more offensively this year. In addition to that, an offensive coordinator, running backs coach, an offensive line coach. You're
And
replacing a lot on that side of the ball.
tight end. Now you have to replace the tight end coach that is gone. One returning coach on that side of the ball, and when you take all of that to me together, this even though Evan Neal, I love Evan Neal's confidence, and it kind of brings up a question that I had: is that type of leadership gonna be the biggest challenge to replace? Because we didn't just lose. We're not just replacing offensive players. 3 of those guys you named were the top 3 of the top 5 players in the country, according to Heisman Trophy voting. So Curtis Lewis said, we don't rebuild. Many times Saban reload with bigger shells. So, hey, that's a statement. But we're going to look at the breakdown of the reloading process, and we'll look at it whether you want to call it reloading or rebuilding. I do think this is the biggest challenge Nick Saban's had for several reasons. One is the number of coaches he's replacing, while at the same time the number of players he's replacing, and the caliber of players we're replacing. We're used to replacing superstars. We're used to replacing guys who are going to the NFL. I don't know if we're used to replacing this many guys on one side of the ball with this many new coaches all at the same time. You usually have it spread out a little bit. And I think the offensive line dynamic as another whole dynamic to the chemistry of a football team, because the O-line is so hard. If you're replacing a receiver, it's generally the receiver and just a quarterback. When you're replacing a running back, it's the running back and and his ability to read and connect with the offensive line. When you're replacing that offensive line, it is one unit made of 5 pieces that have to figure out how to work together. So reload, rebuild. Let me hear your thoughts, your comments, what you think. Is this Nick Saban's biggest challenge? I'm going to bring in DC Caps to discuss that fact, that situation. On the other side, we'll dig deeper into Alabama football in 2020-2021 spring practice right here on the Martin Houston Show. Reminding you once again that you can be a part of the program at 205-342-9904. The Taco Casa hotline is open for business.
Diamonds. If you've been in a room with one, you can't miss it.
Tom Osmond from Fincher and Osmond.
It's a diamond like I've never seen.
And he's seen a lot of diamonds.
Ask big.
At Fincher and Osmond, you can put artisan-created diamonds side by side with mined diamonds. When you see it,
More importantly, when she sees it.
FincherandOsmond.com.
McFarland Boulevard between Edgar's and Local Roots.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Lots of sunshine this morning. Clouds increasing this afternoon. The high 70. For tonight, cloudy with a chance of showers, the low at 64. Tomorrow, a cloudy day, a good chance of showers, maybe a few strong thunderstorms, the high at 70. I'm James Spann with the ADC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 45 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Sophomart Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at sophmartdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. It's a Tuesday morning. It's a beautiful day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Man, I want to remind you once again, take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the day. This Sunday is a very, very special day in my life, in church life, in the Christian life. It is Resurrection Sunday. I want to invite you to Harvest Church. We're going to have a great service. I'm going to be preaching on how Jesus came and got in the trenches, something we can talk about and understand when right here on this show, when it talks about getting in the trenches. I'll be ministering on how Jesus is birth, death, and resurrection was him getting in the trenches with us, for us, so that we may be victorious. We have DC Capstone joining us, and I'm sure he'll concur with that. If you're not at Harvest Church, church this Sunday morning, Sunday, or as it's affectionately known around the world, Easter Sunday. All right, DC, good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show. How you doing, sir?
Doing great, Martin. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well, man. Glad to be back with you. Another day, another dollar, and another opportunity we get to talk about sports. Of course, we're going to talk a little football, but I'd be remiss if I didn't give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about this basketball program that Nate Oates, I love it. Nate Oates not backing away from the success of this season on yesterday when he said this program and these seniors, I'll be talking about them for 30 years if I'm still coaching basketball, because they brought a national championship mentality and culture to Alabama. They changed the way people talk about Alabama basketball. They talk about recruiting and playing, and they just talk about it differently. What's your assessment of the disappointing end but exciting run to a Sweet 16 for the University of Alabama?
Well, I'm just I think Nate Oates was spot on. I mean, I'm sure, like all Alabama fans, I was disappointed with the outcome of this game, and there's a lot of things we could go back and with a microscope and see what we could have done better to win that game. That we had the opportunity to win that game, of course, and make it to the Elite Eight. And just that alone is to tell you where Alabama basketball has come in 2 years. And so I give all the accolades to Coach Oates and his staff and those who have brought the new winning culture, mentality, if you will, to Alabama basketball. And then I give credit to these players who stuck with it, who stayed there, and I think Nate Oates realized that these seniors on this team and these players that finally bought in. It was probably 8 or 10 games, I would say, wouldn't you say, into the season before they actually bought in, and then getting into the season the way they championship and SEC tournament, and just brought only, I think, on a national stage, Alabama basketball being talked. And I think Martin and I, you and I know this, and most of the fans, if you're honest, know this. This time of the year, we're talking about Alabama football, back what's going to happen next year, or winning a national championship or not winning a national championship.
Right.
This year, the time has been talking about Alabama basketball, and that does a lot for recruiting. And I think there's a lot of players out there that are on the horizon that are looking at Alabama that would have never, 2 years ago, even thought about Alabama as an option. So I give a lot of credit to this coach staff, this team, and they deserve all the accolades they're getting right now. It was a disappointing end, but that shouldn't damper a great season.
Yeah, and not only have we been talking about Alabama basketball, I don't think we're through. I think even through spring, we'll still be talking about what's happening. And Nate Oates looking to get a couple big a commitment or transfer or two for the upcoming season. So we'll see what Nate Oates is able to pull off. And I'm going to ask the question, but then I'm going to bring Tom in before I let you answer it, give you a chance to think on it. Much like Alabama football, Alabama basketball is not to rebuild next year. We're looking to reload and make another deep run next year. Next year will be a little different for them. They won't sneak up on people next year. People will have their eyes wide open when they get ready to play Alabama basketball. But they're looking to reload for sure. Is this a rebuilding or a reloading year for Alabama football, especially because of what is going on the offensive side of the ball from a coaching, a player personnel, and a replacement standpoint. Hold that thought for just a minute out of that response. Let's bring in Tom. Tom, you in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, man?
Good morning, Martin. Good morning, DC. You look so fun.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Pleasure for me to be on the show. I apologize, but I can't let basketball go yet.
No, you need it.
I've seasoned one of the more entertaining seasons for fans that we've had in a long, long time, and I'm telling you, it's been a joy to see how it developed and where it ended up. Like everybody else, I was disappointed that we got UCLA, but at the same time, if I'm going to get beat, when the guys are playing hard like they were playing and fighting back and all those kind of good things, I can live with it. And but DC, I wanted to bring something up. I've read I don't know how many articles in the last week, maybe two, about culture change, and that's been the buzzword for the last little bit about that. I agree. I do think that that is going on, and but I wanted to get your opinion on that. Is NATO's been able to come in and really change the culture of Alabama basketball to a winning culture? Martin started this. I think maybe 4 weeks ago when he said that, or asked the question of the listeners, is what NATO did the equivalent of what Nick Saban has done at Alabama, and I'd say yes, he's done that better because in his second year he won the SEC regular, then he won the tournament, and those things are huge in changing the culture. I want to get your take on it. If y'all don't mind, I'm gonna hang up and listen.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank y'all. Great question, and I'll be honored to speak to that culture part thing. And I think Martin, you understand how big culture is on a team, right? We're
Yes.
talking about something important, right? You went through this with Coach Stallings. We had not won a national championship in a long time, but it's very nice now too, right? So
Correct.
You went through the change of the culture of believing you can win. So one thing that thinking you can win is another whole idea of changing the culture to believe you can win. You agree with that, Mark?
Agree totally.
And so I think that's a big thing. And what Nate Oates has done is kind of remarkable in that area, because I don't think there is a player nor a fan that believed we could win a national championship in basketball up until this last year in reality. And I think Nate Oates brought the reality there with the way he coaches and the way he speaks to the players and the way he leads. And I think Martin said that, you said many times, leadership is the thing. And you have a quote about leadership, and I think Nate Oates brings leadership. I have a little bit of insight in this, little inside information. Last summer, a long time ago, it's been a long time ago, my wife and I were sitting on our stoop in our townhome downtown Tuscaloosa when a young man and his children were in the park, and we got to talking to them and meeting them. And, well, I struck up this friendship with a young man who helped Nate Oates out and coached with the basketball team and did some behind-the-scenes things. And this is a young man who knew him when he was in mid high school coaching ranks all the way up through his time at Buffalo. And that young man didn't talk about his basketball knowledge. He talked about his leadership. And when he left, I told my wife, I said, we've got us a great coach at Alabama. And she said, what do you mean? I said, well, leadership. I said, Webb Sanderson had leadership. And I think a coach like Webb Sanderson. And it didn't take me but one conversation with a man who knew and was tutored by Nate Oates to realize it was leadership. And I think what's changed the culture. Do you agree, Martin? As far as I know, you know a little bit about that conversation. conversation I had with him. But the leadership there is so important. I think that the change in this culture.
Yeah, John Maxwell says everything rises and falls on leadership. And leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And when you take that statement of what leadership is, and then you take what culture is, and to me, culture is a learned behavior that is accepted by the collective body or the majority of the collective body, and all of a sudden those who don't fit the culture leave. That winning culture or that losing culture, whichever one. I mean, culture can be just as negative as it is positive. Generally ever is it neutral. How many times do you see and hear people say, DC, here it go again, when something bad happens, they, okay, when are we going to lose? Because that's their mentality, find a way to lose the game. But yes, I totally agree with you. Nate Oates, you can go back and watch this season, and at some point, his leadership, his influence on these players in this program took hold, and the majority of them, if not all of them, said, yes, this is what it's going to take, in. I'm willing to do it. Because all of a sudden, there was competition for the hard hat award. You know what I mean? Therefore, why pretty much won it every week. And then all of a sudden, Jawan Gary started winning, and other guys starting pushing her for that award. And I think that's what you see when a culture takes place. And that culture right now is a winning culture. And so, and now you have a coach who is not afraid to say, we're here. We're going to win national titles, and we're going to recruit at the highest level, and we're going to be competing for championships. Be adding trophies to the trophy case. And when the coach starts to say that, not arrogantly, but with confidence, and much in the same way that Nick Saban came here with a vision, came here with a plan, DC. Nate Oates came here with a vision and a plan. And after 2 years, anyone, I think I'm going to have to rerun that quote, because almost 50% of the people felt like Nick Saban's second year was equal to or more impressive than, actually it was more than that, felt like it was equal to or more impressive than what Nate Oates did. Anyone thinking that way today or have blinders on in terms of what happened. Nate Oates closed out this season, even though basketball, unless you win the championship, if you have a great season, ends with a loss. I still think this team showed championship grit and far exceeded expectations, and now they have something to build upon.
I agree 100%. And I think another thing you see, Martin, in the first year that Nate Oates was here, he put the pressure on himself by saying anything short of the NCAA tournament is not acceptable. And we all laughed at that point because we thought he put the pressure on himself. That's what good leaders do. And I think that leadership that he brought to the team showed through. The second ingredient of that is you got to have buy-in. And I think these seniors finally bought into it. And that's when you saw some other people start competing for the hard hat award. When the seniors started buying into it, they were good, had good leadership as well. So I think leadership breeds other leaders, and I think that's what's happened in this team. I think it'll continue to grow on.
Yes, we're looking forward to it as Alabama basketball wrapped up a great season. We're speaking with DC Capstone Report, coming back on the other side. DC, as well as you, if you want to get in on the conversation, 205-342-9904, or post your thoughts and comments on Facebook, on social media. Is this a rebuild or reload? We're talking Alabama football up next. Thanks to the great folks over at Overflow Express Wash. OverflowExpressWash.com is where you can find them. Great location down on Skyland Boulevard, with one coming over in the Northport area here shortly, hoping within the next few days to week. So to get it open, that's overflowexwash.com.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
To westbound before the Buell cutoff. Delays, no other problems or issues, but if you do see conditions, of course, give us a call, 205-886-8886. Where are the deals? Townsend Nissan, your hometown dealer. Come grab one today. I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the in wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
Get more from your stimulus checks during the Carlock Double Down event. This month, Carlock will double your stimulus up to $2,800 when you purchase a new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram vehicle. And during the Jeep Celebration event, get $8,500 off MSRP on a new Grand Cherokee. The Carlock Double Down event, this month only at Carlock of Tuscaloosa. Grand Cherokee offer MC570132. $42,105 MSRP with $4,750 factory incentive and $33,555 selling price. Includes $1,400 Carlock stimulus match, $1,400 stimulus bonus, and $1,000 Carlock discount. Must finance through Chrysler Capital on approved credit. Offer ends March 31st, 2021.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. And Coach Wooden said it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not, the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring can help you with that. We have our pep talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, we can also assist you with that. Visit peptalks35.com. That's peptalks35.com, or send an email to martin@martinhouston.org. That's the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
We're speaking with DC Capstone Report. DC, welcome into the program. Tell our listeners where they can find you, sir.
Well, you can find us at dccapstonereport.com, and we've got DC Capstone Report Facebook page. You can like us on Facebook. Lance puts up a lot of great content and videos and photographs, things that are going through as we get into the spring practice, and he'll continue to do that all the way into our fall practice as well, live on football.
All right. We ask the big question, is this a reload season, or is it I love Curtis Lewis's response. We read it earlier. He said, we don't rebuild. Many times Saban just reloads with bigger shells. That's kind of what Evan Neal said. He said losing guys like Mac Jones and Devontae Smith and different leaders like that definitely take a toll, but this is Alabama. We reloading. We keep talent is always coming up. Springtime is the time to develop that talent and for that talent to get better. I'm confident in the group of guys we have now and just excited to continue to do the work. DC, reload or rebuild?
Well, I think those comments by your listener and also by Evan Neal are byproducts of the culture that Nick Saban has built at Alabama football. That's what Alabama does. They reload instead of rebuilding. And it's commonplace that we get the best players, we got the best athletes, we get the best coaches, we get the best of everything. So therefore, Coach Saban has every year puts together, and we have a good, if not great, team. Now, the semantics of rebuilding or reloading, I know we put connotations on those as to what it is, but in my opinion, this is going to be, I'll just say it this way, this is going to be a challenging year for Coach Saban to put together a team that can challenge for another national championship. And I think that there's only been one college football playoff without him in it. So everybody expects us to go back to the college football playoff. I expect that as well. But I think it's going to be a challenging year. And I say that because of coaches and players. And I think and that falls to the offensive line is my biggest concern. And I think that it's a lot different to replace an offensive line than to have to replace a quarterback or a star wide receiver or a star running back. All that deals on athletic ability. But offensive line, I think the biggest, hardest, and the most difficult thing Coach Saban will do will be able to find the 5 best offensive linemen on the field, because I think everything on the offensive side of the ball rises and falls on how good your offensive line is.
Yeah, C.J. Watson. I thought his response. He had a pretty long response, but I'll share it with us. It's probably a reload situation because that's what we've done for the last almost decade and a half. Yeah, in other words, this is what we do at Alabama, so that's the culture. But it feels like a rebuild to me, and the reason is we have lost a ton on the offensive side of the ball, and where that used to not mean much because of our identity as a football offense, even with Ingram and Henry winning Heisman Trophy. And it almost didn't matter what offense did because we were a defense team. But now we're an offensive football team, and we lost a ton, all capital with a couple exclamation points. Also, this is the first season we haven't, and I think this is where I want to ask you a question and dig a little deeper on potential impact. Also, this is the first season we haven't had a preview of the upcoming starting quarterback since 2015-16, Jalen's freshman year. We got an exciting peek at Tua and Mac. We didn't get that same look at Young. Doesn't mean he won't be at that level. We just didn't get that exciting preview. So in that way, it has more of a rebuild than a reload, at least in the offseason. DC, you and I, it's semantics for us in terms of, is it a rebuild, is it a reload? Yeah, it's really based on how you feel about the player. But is it possible that missing last spring may have more impact on this year's team than it did on last year's team?
Most definitely, not only missing last spring, but also having the games in order to get game playing time for some people who are in reserve roles. Bryce Young in an ordinary season would have gotten a half or at least a quarter in about 3 or 4 games to play, and he didn't have that luxury in the season of playing all SEC conference schedule. And I think Coach Saban has alluded to that, and people who don't hear him say that, he said it about 3 times since people have been asking him questions. And if you don't hear him say that, he's not saying that for his own self. He's saying that to let everybody know expectations for the quarterback position. He didn't have the game ability, so it's taken him a while to get that. And I think he can get there, but it's definitely going to have an effect on him.
Yeah, totally. I think not having spring from last year, to specifically to CJ's point is we saw Mac in the spring game. We thought, okay, this guy can play at a high level. It can duplicate what he did in the spring game. So you kind of had that feel, and you did see a little bit of Young in that, but then it wasn't backed up by the season. Not Bryce Young, but the year before. And then when you look at what happened with Mac and all that have transpired in this season, you kind of had a good idea that if Bryce Young, I said this all off season, DC. I said, if Bryce Young beats out Mac Jones, then we got a really good quarterback. If Bryce Young wins the job this year, we don't really know if he's good or he's just better than the two guys that's on the team because we've not seen him at this level. I know that there's transferable skills and all that from high school, but to me, the biggest question, DC, is the offense and the chemistry of the offensive line, the running backs, the wide receivers, the quarterback, as well as this coaching staff. We'll come back on the other side and talk about what's the biggest challenges to Alabama reloading for 2021, especially on the offensive side of the ball. That's up next on your home for Alabama sports, 100.9.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, got a report of a wreck on US 82 westbound before the Buell Cutoff Road with some delays. No other problems or issues, but if you do see conditions, of course, call 205-886-8886. Where are the deals? Townsend Nissan, your hometown dealer. Come grab one today. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Good morning. Governor Ivey is amazed there were no deaths or no serious injuries in Hale County. While visiting Sawyerville, the governor was surprised to learn there are no community storm shelters in the county. Ivey assured local officials the state is doing all it can to assist their recovery from the tornadoes. The governor then flew over several damaged areas in Bibb County while en route to Shelby County. Another round of severe weather possible tomorrow. All West Alabama under a marginal risk for damaging winds and quarter-size hail. I'm Don Hart. Media Tuscaloosa.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. If you're looking for a way to add value to your home, make your flower beds pop, make your landscaping stand out from your neighbors, then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help you do just that. They have numerous styles, but Rock and Stone Curb Series, which includes 4 great styles and unlimited color choices. That's Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. They are the one that can help you stand out from your neighbors. Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, 205-331-6823. You may also find yourself with the need for a custom size stone or custom shape stone. Then Custom Curbing can help with that as well. Paul Fuller and his team are waiting on your call right now for that free quote. And if you tell them that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by, you'll get a big discount. Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing at 205-331-6823. Visit them online at Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, LLC.
You decide your outdoor deck. So you order the essentials. A power washer, a set of patio chairs, and a shiny new grill. And you use your Bank of America Cash Rewards credit card, choosing to earn 3% cash back on online shopping and up to 5.25% as a preferred rewards member, which you put towards your most essential deck addition. A bird feeder. Apply for yours at bankofamerica.com/more rewarding. Copyright 2020 Bank of America Corporation.
Run with us on a John Deere Z365 RZ track built for taking it easy. With the Easy Change 30-second oil change system and standard mulch control to control your clippings without any extra effort. Because lawns aren't just for mowing, they're for living. Nothing runs like a Deere. Get a new Z300 Series zero-turn mower with 0% APR for 24 months at your John Deere dealer today. For additional cost information, please call toll-free 1-800-226-8903.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Bama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Transfer your balance, lower your rate, transfer your credit card balance to Alabama One credit card with a zero balance transfer fee, zero annual fees, zero APR for 6 months, cash back rewards. That's Alabama One Credit Union. You can go to alabama1.org. You can just scroll down, click the banner that says click to apply. You can get that Alabama One credit card today. Once again, zero balance transfer, zero annual fees, zero APR for 6 months, and great cash back rewards. And if you're a business owner, I also have a business credit card for you as well. And while you're there, click on insurance, and you'll be able to find out more about Alabama One insurance offerings as well as Alabama One together. Speaking with DC Capstone Report, DC, real quick before we get into the conversation, there was a lot of information about jobs and salaries yesterday for Alabama and Pete Golding getting a $1.5 million new salary package, but big news on the local level, in my opinion. Coach Weingartner used to be at Hillcrest, then was at a couple other places, and then at Auburn High School, coming to County High. But he's bringing back a young man. You'll hear me. He's my son, oldest son, unofficial oldest son. Coach Antonio Ford, a local kid from Holt High School who coached at Sipsey Valley as well as played for Troy University, will be joining his staff as defense coordinator. So I want to give a shout out to County High for the coaching staff they're hiring, especially bringing in young men like Coach Antonio Ford, a man of faith, but who absolutely loves these kids and will be a great influence. So maybe County High can figure things out in this new 7A world.
Well, I think that's a great addition right there. You're just talking about some local sports, and yes, that's a great addition. I think Coach Weingart or Coach Ford, as I know Coach Ford will bring a great culture to Tuscaloosa County High.
Yeah, and that's what we're talking about, a winning culture. Auburn High School, not necessarily the most talented school, but had great coaches and continuously sending players on to play at the next level. In doing it with great character and great class, and hopefully that'll help County High. Let's get Super Joe on, and then DC will wrap things up with this reload question as far as the offense and defense concerned. Super Joe, you're in with the Martin Hughes Show. What's on your mind, man?
Hey, morning, how you DC, man? How y'all doing?
Doing good.
Oh man, sure. Hey, how's this thing looking up in practice today? Just trying to give Super Joe some feedback. Who's looking great out there?
Well, I think based on what I can tell, Martin can tell his inside information, but based on what I can see, I think Bryce Young is doing really good. Paul Tyson is doing really good. I think on the defensive side of the ball, most of the defensive linemen that they're running through are doing good. I think the questions coming down is they're making some adjustments on different positions along the line. Who's going to be the best line out there for the offensive line? I think that's where the team's going to rise and fall. It's offensive line, how we do in spring practice. So I think it's looking good right now based on everything I can see.
Yeah, and Super Joe, the guys are the names that I've heard. The group running out, I didn't hear anything since this weekend, so I will tell you I have not heard anything since Saturday. But the group that ran out with the line, the names that you need to be listening for: Tommy Brown, Damian George Jr., and Javion Cohen. Were the three new guys that was out there with Evan Neal and Chris Owen. So I know that's going to change. I have heard that if one of the young guys is ready to step in and play from a physical, size, and athletic standpoint, is J.C. Latham on the offensive line. The Brockemeyer guys are just good football players. They just need to get a little bigger. Then from a wide receiver standpoint, Agiah Hall and Javon Baker, seem to be ready to step in. And then from the defensive side of the ball, and DC, I'll get your thoughts on this. This is a young man that when he stepped on campus, he really caught a lot of people's eyes, but we haven't mentioned his name much. And he's also a young man that got married and and it probably took him a little while to adjust, but Jalen Armour Davis is a name that I've heard mentioned in camp. In spring.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jalen Armour Davis is somebody's name I've heard called a lot on the defensive side of the ball as far as somebody that's cast their eye. So look for him to really this year.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Thanks, Super Joe. Appreciate you, sir.
I appreciate your time. Thanks for taking my call.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, DC. Anything that just kind of jumps out at you is a potential challenge or Alabama's, and I think we kind of talked a little bit about it, hinted at it. But as far as this being a potential season that could get sidetracked, what would that be if Alabama doesn't find this or do this? Then we'll find ourselves not as bad as LSU, but not really the national title.
Well, I think everything, like I said, rises and falls on the offensive line. You can't run if you don't block. You can't pass if you're sacked. So I think if we don't find the best five and the best, say, eight come in, and if we don't get the best offensive line and get them to jail, and the offensive line has to jail. We just can't put the best five players up there. It has to be the best five players that play well together. And if we can do that, then I think we're going to be fine. If we can't do that, then it could be a difficult season for us.
Yeah, and Tommy Brown is a name to me. Every time I think of Tommy Brown, I think of I knew I was going to draw a blank on his name. Big kid, Alabama, that playing with Baltimore center. Do what? Bradley Bozeman. Just that. If there was a hard hat on the football field, Bradley Bozeman is the guy that that would get the hard hat award. And to me, Tommy Brown reminds me of that type of player. And it looks like he may be a guy that's working himself in there at the guard position to make a little noise.
And I think we're going to have need somebody like that. I think everybody kind of talked about Leatherwood and Dickerson and everything, but Deontay Brown was a massive load, probably the strongest player on the team, and with the great quick feet that he didn't get a lot of praise for his offensive line play, but it was superb. He just had to buy into the culture in order to make it work, but he showed his discipline to lose the weight to get ready for the NFL. So I think Deontay Brown might be the best lineman off of that team in the NFL. So
yeah, and he definitely could be the hardest one to replace from a athlete. I love the way that Dickerson played the game, of course, but he'll be hard to replace. DC, I know that this Sunday is a big deal to you out by encouraging to
let me just my last good time to say this. This is a big deal for me. It's where my hope is. My hope is in Jesus and his resurrection, and that is why I do what I do. So if you're listening to me and you're not a believer and you don't really know what it's all about, just give it a chance. Just go for me. I challenge you, go one Sunday. Pick a church, a Bible believing church, and go this Sunday and help us celebrate the resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ.
All right, that's DC Capstone Report, sponsored by freelancepictures.bama.com. Find them at dccapstoneport.com. Also, DC Capstone and follow David Cott 50. Thanks, DC. We'll catch. All right, for the Martin Houston Show, I'm Martin Houston. That was DC. That's Joe Gaither. Michaela jumping in the program. Caller, listeners, chatter, share. And he will direct your path. Roll Tide.
Houston Show on your home, Alabama Sports, Tide 100.9. Tide 100.9 traffic.
That's fine.